You are standing on the deck of a cruise ship at 2 in the morning. The water around you is completely black. There is no moon. There is no visible horizon. Just open ocean in every direction and 4,000 people asleep somewhere behind you in the dark. Now look up at the bridge. The crew up there is not turning on a single headlight. Not because the equipment failed. Not because someone forgot. Because headlights, the way you picture them working on a car, are completely useless out here. And that is not the surprising part. The surprising part is what replaced them. A system so elegant, so precise, that it tells every other vessel on the ocean exactly what this ship is, where it is going, and which way it is turning. All in real time. All without a single word spoken on the radio. All written entirely in light. Start with something simple. A car headlight works by throwing light forward. That light hits something, a road sign, a deer, another vehicle, and a fraction of it bounces back to your eyes. Your brain processes the return and you react. The whole system depends on reflection. And at highway speeds, roughly 100 meters of visibility is enough. You see the obstacle, you brake, you stop in time. Now put that logic on the ocean. A fully loaded cargo ship traveling at normal cruising speed needs more than 1 mile to come to a complete stop. 1 mile. That is roughly 14 American football fields laid end to end. So for a headlight to actually be useful, it would need to illuminate that entire distance clearly enough for the bridge crew to spot another vessel, read its position, and begin reacting with enough time for the ship to actually stop. In fog, in rain, in the kind of conditions the North Atlantic specializes in. Think about what that requires. The beam would need to stay focused and readable across 14 football fields of open water. And then enough of it would need to bounce back for someone on the bridge to see the return. That is not a powerful headlight. That is something closer to a military searchlight firing continuously into the dark all night long. And even that would not work, because the ocean is not a road. A road sign is designed to reflect. It is coded specifically to bounce light back toward its source. The ocean does none of that. It scatters light in every direction. It absorbs it. It swallows it completely in anything but the calmest conditions. Salt haze alone will kill a beam within a fraction of the distance you actually need. So the headlight idea does not fail because ships forgot to install one. It fails because the physics of open water make the entire concept useless before you even start. The math kills it. Which forces a completely different question. If you cannot light up what is in front of you, what do you actually do? Here is the shift that changes everything. Ships do not try to illuminate the darkness in front of them. They illuminate themselves. That one reframe collapses the entire problem. Instead of needing a beam powerful enough to travel miles across open water and return something readable, you just need a light bright enough to be spotted by someone already looking. The power requirement drops dramatically. The physics suddenly work. And the solution that emerges from that reframe is not just functional, it is genuinely elegant. But spotted is not even the impressive part. A car headlight carries exactly one piece of information. I am here. That is the entire message. A ship's navigation light system carries something far more complex. It tells you what the vessel is. It tells you which direction it is moving. It tells you whether it is turning. It tells you whether you are looking at its front, its side, or its back. And it tells you all of that simultaneously, passively, without a single radio transmission, without any active communication between vessels, from miles away in complete darkness. Think about what that means on a busy shipping lane at 2 in the morning. Dozens of vessels moving in different directions at different speeds. No words exchanged, no coordination calls. Every officer on every bridge reading the same silent signals and making decisions in real time. The entire choreography of maritime traffic running on a language that requires no transmission and no reply. That language is built entirely out of light placement, light color, and light geometry. The system does not just say, "I exist." It says, "I exist. I am this type of vessel. I am moving in this direction, and here is exactly how you should respond to my presence." All of that encoded into a handful of lights mounted at specific positions on the hull and the mast. It is one of the most quietly brilliant communication systems ever built into a machine. Now, here is exactly how it works. Start with the mast. A large vessel carries two white lights mounted on its centerline, one forward and one toward the stern. The stern light sits higher than the forward one. That height difference is not aesthetic, it is functional. When you see the forward light sitting lower and the stern light sitting higher and separated horizontally, you are looking at the ship from the side. When those two white lights stack almost directly on top of each other, the ship is pointing straight at you. The geometry of their alignment tells you the vessel's orientation without a single word. Then there are the side lights. Red on the port side, green on the starboard side. Left is red, right is green. Simple enough to memorize in seconds. But here is the detail that makes the system genuinely brilliant. Each side light does not shine in all directions. It shines through a precise arc of exactly 112 degrees. The red light is only visible if you are positioned on the left half of the ship's surroundings. The green light is only visible from the right half. They do not overlap. They do not bleed into each other. Think of it as a city block-sized rotating arrow, readable from miles of open ocean. Red means the ship's left side is facing you. It is moving across your view from right to left. Green means the right side is facing you. It is moving left to right. If you can see both colors simultaneously, you are looking directly at the bow. The ship is heading towards you. That is the signal that demands an immediate decision. At the stern, a single white light fills the remaining gap. One white light with no second white above it means you are behind the vessel. It is moving away from you. You are the one overtaking. That single distinction, one white light versus two, determines which maritime rules apply in that moment and who holds legal right of way. An entire international rulebook encoded into the position of 3 colors and 2 whites. Every officer on every flagged vessel reads it identically. Here is the part most people never expect. Ships do not just avoid using headlights. They actively suppress almost all of their own lighting at night. Navigation bridges dim their interior lights as low as physically possible. Unnecessary exterior lights get switched off entirely. On a properly run vessel after dark, the ship is deliberately made as dark as it can be, while still showing its required navigation lights. Your instinct is probably that this seems dangerous. More light means more safety. More visibility means fewer accidents. That instinct is wrong. The reason comes down entirely to human biology. The human eye takes between 20 and 30 minutes to fully adapt to darkness. In that fully adapted state, it becomes extraordinarily sensitive. Sensitive enough to detect a single candle flame from over a mile away. Sensitive enough to spot a navigation light across several miles of open ocean. That adapted eye is one of the most useful instruments on the entire bridge. But the moment a bright light enters your field of vision, that adaptation collapses. Not gradually, in seconds. Your night vision is gone, and you are now functionally blind to everything faint around you. An officer standing a proper night watch on a darkened bridge can see navigation lights miles out across open water. Let a crew member walk through with a flashlight. Leave a door open where cabin lighting spills in from the deck below. And suddenly, that same officer can barely see past the bow rail. If you have ever stood on the outer deck of a cruise ship at night, you have noticed how dark it gets the moment you step away from the pool deck and the cabin corridors. That is not an accident. The areas that matter for navigation are kept deliberately dark so the crew above you can see what is coming from miles away. The darkness is not the hazard. The darkness is the tool. This is why bridge instruments use red lighting. Red wavelengths disrupt night vision adaptation far less than white light. It is why bridge windows angle forward and downward, designed specifically to block reflected glare from the deck below. Every design choice on a night bridge protects one thing: the crew's ability to see faint lights across miles of black water. This system did not arrive fully formed. The core logic of navigation lights dates back to the 1800s, not designed in a single sitting by a committee of engineers. Refined slowly, painfully, through collision after collision, through inquiries and investigations and arguments about what went wrong and who failed to see what in time. Each accident tightened the rules a little further. Each near miss added a clause, until eventually the system hardened into international law, standardized across every flagged vessel on every ocean. Red for port, green for starboard, 2 mastheads, the aft one higher, a single white at the stern. Those rules survived the transition from sail to steam. They survived diesel engines, and then radar, and then satellite navigation. They are largely unchanged today because the physics underneath them has not changed. Light behaves the same way it did in 1860. The human eye adapts to darkness the same way it did then. The geometry of 2 vessels approaching each other on open water follows the same rules it always has. But the system has limits, real ones. In dense fog, navigation lights disappear into white nothing within a few hundred meters. In heavy rain, they blur and scatter until the colors bleed together. In a congested shipping lane with dozens of vessels moving simultaneously, the human eye can only track so many light signals before the picture becomes genuinely overwhelming. So how does a cruise ship navigate a fog-bound channel at 0 visibility with 50 other vessels doing exactly the same thing? The answer is that the light system is only one layer. Above it, invisible to anyone standing on deck, runs an entirely separate world. Radar pulses reaching out miles in every direction. Transponder signals broadcasting each vessel's identity, speed, and heading automatically. Digital displays on the bridge, painting a real-time picture of every ship in the area, regardless of weather, regardless of visibility, regardless of the time of night. That invisible layer is the reason collisions at sea are as rare as they are. And the way it works is just as counterintuitive as everything you have learned about light. You came into this thinking something was missing. A giant vessel crossing open ocean in complete darkness. No headlights, no beam cutting through the water ahead. It looked like an oversight. It was the opposite. The darkness is intentional. The silence is engineered. The system running across every ocean tonight is older than engines, sharper than instinct, and readable by every trained officer on Earth without a single word exchanged. Next time you see something that looks like a flaw, like an obvious thing someone simply forgot to fix, stop. Ask whether you are looking at a problem or a solution you have not understood yet.